And it could be, I think I've heard that maybe in the north it's not as bad, but when you have a lack of knowledge, then that leaves room for discrimination. You know what I mean? And so,
And being okay with it, because sometimes they're just okay with it. Like, I know when my daughter, who's lived here since 2016, I will never forget when she called me upset
mhm.
because there's still, back then, I don't know if they've gotten rid of it, but there's the candy bar with the black face monkey on it. Yeah. And she called me, she was like, this is some
No, it's not even a black-faced monkey. It's supposed to be African. That's
yeah.
why they call them Congoits. It's something to do with like Congo, the country of
Okay.
Congo.
Okay.
And it's very, very offensive.
Oh
I
my,
think
yeah.
they just recently stopped selling it. One of my
Yeah.
favorite stores, Mercadona, that was
Girl.
one of the main places you could see it in. And
Mm.
those and they don't know, you know what I mean? And they don't think it's
They're
not
like, what are you
something that they
complaining
probably
about? What? It's just candy. Why are you taking it so personally?
and that's why I
Our
always say,
tradition.
like, and people, when people say use the word ignorant, it's almost like an insult. But when you look at the root and the definition of the word ignorant, ignorant means a lack of knowledge. And so
Hmm.
that's what you have. That's what you have. Not in an insult, but just factual. That's just facts. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But this is what I say. There are levels to racism. And so the level of racism that we face here is way low in comparison to the level of racism that we've
Yeah.
felt and experienced in the United States of America. You know what I
And
mean?
please
Our
let's
safety, we don't feel like we're going to be harmed, or our
yeah.
physical safety. You see what I'm saying? It's just a little bit of discrimination, and you gotta just hold your head up high and you deal with it.
And I just wanted to just add in here at this point just to say, we as adults, we know the
Mhm.
difference. We've recognized the difference because we've experienced both sides.
That's it.
We've experienced.
In other
So
words, you're
I want to make sure
saying
that
if
we're not
someone's being rude to
diminishing.
me, if
Yeah.
someone's being rude to me, you can tell the difference whether that person is being rude to you just because they're rude, or whether they're being rude to you because they're racist.
Yes.
You're basically saying you can absolutely tell the difference.
I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference also, um, in my feelings of experiencing racism in the U.S. versus experiencing the racism or whatever version of it that is here in another country or in Spain, because of a safety factor. Like, I do not feel like somebody's gonna, just like go all Joe Stabby on me or whatever, and and
Right.
try to physically harm me. I say this because even though your kids may not, especially like, your children who have, basically been raised here, I don't want to
Hmm.
make it sound like we're taking away from their experience of racism in this country.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what either
Right.
one of us are saying. We're saying that we know that there's another version in other parts of the world, like the U.S., that can be a fatal type of, a government approved fatal type
Right.
of situation, racism, that we are well aware of. But in all that, your baby is in pain and feeling. If your baby's in pain and feeling like they are being othered or made to feel less than anywhere in the world, I'm
Mhm.
coming out, maybe not physical guns blazing, but definitely, like, I'm ready to do whatever to protect my babies.
Oh yeah, Mama Bear is coming out. That's it. You're
Yes.
right.
And
Hmm.
that's why you and your husband had made the decision that we need to make some changes all around to make sure they're getting the best possible education and life experience.
You hit the head on the nail. You said that perfectly. Yeah.
I got some knowledge. Yeah. My kids are grown, but I got some knowledge.
I love it. I love
Okay. What other parts of Spain have you experienced? Have you guys traveled to?
it. We have
Other parts of Spain or other parts of Europe?
we have been to Barcelona. We've been to Madrid. We've been to northern Spain, Asturias, which was we fell in love with that area. It's so beautiful. So we've been traveling, and we still have plans to visit more places. But yeah, so we've been around, and you can see the difference even in culture, because just like the South in the United States is the same, different from the North. It's the same
Hmm.
here. You have some cultural differences. You have the differences in accents, and so, but we love traveling and finding different areas and stuff to visit as a family. That's one of our favorite things to do.
Okay. And what about, how do you see the growth in, like, I'm going to stay on kids for just a couple more minutes and stuff,
No, I
because
love
this is about,
it. Right.
it's about you, but
No,
it's
you're
also
right.
about
It's
the
about the
kids.
kids. honestly. And
So do
I
you
really
think
want
that
moms to moms and fathers to watch this blog because it's gonna help you. You know what I mean? To all those because we're getting so we're talking about all the questions we're getting from our viewers. You know what I mean? So
do you think that you can see the difference in the confidence or the way that your kids carry themselves based on their ages and how long they like? Do you see a difference in how your youngest daughter, your youngest child carries herself versus how your oldest son does based on experiences, culture overall?
oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I guess I can. Because like the youngest was a baby when we moved here,
Mhm.
and then the oldest was 8 years old. So there is a little bit of a difference, even as far as accent. So our oldest son, he sounds like if you were to hear him on the phone, people think that he's an Andalusian boy. Like he doesn't he's perfected the language in the
Okay.
accent. And the same thing for our other ones, the other two. Now I will say I don't know if I mentioned this before, but our middle son, Aaron, is
Mhm.
actually on the spectrum. He's on the autistic
Okay.
spectrum. And when he was 4, when we first moved here, him assimilating and learning the language, and we didn't have ABA therapy here. We couldn't find the therapy that he needed. But when we first moved here, I feel like him learning and just being in school, that was a form of therapy for him because he was learning to communicate not only in his language but in a different language. And I feel like that was very beneficial. You know what I mean? So there are pros and cons
Oh.
to raising kids in Spain, but I definitely feel like the pros outweigh the cons.